eBay as a platform get embroiled in one of the biggest cyberstalking scandals of the digital age, which is just so wild. It's a story where ego and unchecked authority completely collide. Ina writes an article. She notes that Devon's salary of $18 million was actually 152 times the average annual salary of a regular eBay employee.
Wow.
Devon is furious, and he replies to Steve, "We're going to crush this lady. I want her done."
What? Are they actually going to put a hit on her?
They plan to launch a series of harassment attacks to distract them from writing any more negative posts. The second part of the plan is that eBay will swoop in, impress them so much that they'll realize that actually eBay are the good guys in all of this, and then they'll start writing favorable articles about them.
Wow.
eBay can see the headline now. Blogger admits, we were wrong about eBay. Welcome to The Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things.
A weekly variety podcast that gives you just enough information to stand your ground at any social gathering.
I'm Kyle Risi, your ringmaster for this week's episode.
And I'm Adam Cox, the chief hand warmer for the winter circus this week.
Okay. How are we warming these hands?
Well, for all the acts that are about to go on stage,
Yeah.
I'm there before they go on, warming up their hands in any way I can.
I know a really warm place. Quickly put them down my pants!
No, like under my armpits. They can touch my bum, that's pretty warm.
Like, what if there's a troupe of acrobats that are all waiting to go on in that moment? And they all need their hands warmed up at the same time. Everyone's just grabbing anything that they can.
That's right.
One down the pants, one on the bum, one under the armpits.
It's an HR disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, HR! Adam, for our new listeners, do you want to tell them what the show's all about?
Basically, each week we explore a story from the dark corners of true crime, the hidden gems of history, or the jaw-dropping deeds of extraordinary people.
Ooh.
And this week, Kyle is doing the dive into an interesting topic that he thinks you'll find fascinating. And by the end, the aim is that you'll have everything you need to stand your ground at any social gathering.
Do you think we deliver on that promise, Adam? I mean, each week, after we finish the episode, you're like, what was the episode about?
I have no idea what we've done before.
If you are new to the show and you want to support us, then clicking that follow button wherever you listen to podcasts is how you can do that. But also, please leave us a rating or a review because genuinely this really helps other people find the show.
And if you want to support the show with actual money, then join our Patreon. The link is in the show notes.
As a Patreon member, you'll be employed as a certified freak, which is a little bit backwards since you're paying us. It makes us a multi-level marketing company.
Wow. That's,
how high up the pyramid can you climb?
I've never thought of it like that.
But it does mean that you get access to all of our unreleased episodes up to 6 weeks before anyone else.
Plus, our certified freak and big top members get our exclusive compendium keychain. It's very large, so it's more of a body emblem, perfect as a gang charm around your neck, but it probably is better as a belt buckle.
It is the certified way to ensure not only you are recognizable as a certified freak, but also that we can always be there.
Dangling near your crotch.
That's so dirty. That never gets old for me. Right, Adam, that's enough of the housekeeping. Are you ready to kick off today's show?
I am ready. What are you serving us today?
Adam, today on The Compendium, we are diving into an assembly of power without perspective, paperwork without conscience, and consequences arriving in the post.
Are we doing the post office scandal?
No, we're not doing that story today. Adam, we have both had first-hand experience with negative comments on this podcast. It is so difficult for us to not take them to heart.
Yeah, although I don't know if I've received any negative comments.
That's such a lie. But I think after 3 years, we have dealt with them in a very mature, rational way most of the time. Because it's just part and parcel of what we do, right? We remind ourselves, basically, that sticks and stones can break our bones, but words will never harm us.
Sure.
And this is the exact approach that you would expect a multi-billion-dollar company to have mastered by the time they take their company public. And so, Adam, when they don't, it's really noticeable. This is exactly what happened in 2019 when eBay started receiving what most people would argue pretty reasonable seller-focused criticism from a little blog run by just an ordinary couple just out of Boston, Massachusetts. What the couple didn't bank on, though, was that their seemingly innocuous comments would end up living rent-free in the brain of Devin Weng, the CEO of eBay.
So what were they saying? What?
Basically just really regular stuff. They were massive advocates of eBay and they want the best for eBay, right? So they were like, we're really excited that the CEO is committed to really improving the seller experience. Either way, whatever their comments were was hitting kind of a nerve underneath it between the lines. He lost his perspective on being able to look at these comments rationally. Mm-hmm. And it just drove him wild. And so instead of ignoring the comments, decided to launch a zero expense spared, full-on retaliation operation against this very couple.
Okay.
One, Adam, that would end up spiraling into one of the most embarrassing, wildly disproportionate cyberstalking scandals of the e-commerce age. Have you heard of this story before?
I have not, no. And it sounds quite recent, actually. So you'd think this would have been all over social media. How did it get to this, then, if all they've done is just made a few complaints?
Well, it gets pretty dark, Adam. Because it's a real example of how people in power can really end up warping their own perspectives on things. Like they get so insulated in kind of the position of power that they kind of exist in that they don't really see the wood for the trees, if you will. It's a story that really highlights the thin line between professionalism and absolute madness and how easy it is to just fall over that line. Mm-hmm. It's that gap where ego and unchecked authority completely collide, and how sometimes maybe one of the most dangerous things that an ordinary person can do online is actually just write something shockingly reasonable, which is what this couple did. So Adam, today I'm going to tell you about the 2019 eBay stalking scandal, where one of the biggest companies on the planet, run by a CEO with the thinnest skin, just could not handle what other people were saying about him online. We will explore how he ended up setting in motion a black ops initiative to take down these naysayers and how this couple's resilience reinstated the status quo in the end, or we hope it will do because the story is still unfolding and the trial is due to start in just a couple of days.
A black ops initiative, as in, that makes me think of snipers on a roof.
Secret mission stuff.
Oh, okay. But with snipers?
Do you know what? If it had been allowed to go on long enough, I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow.
It's wild.
What did they do to piss him off?
So should we dive into it then?
Sure.
So Adam, I guess my first question is, what do you know of eBay? Have you used the eBay before to buy or sell anything, basically?
Use the eBay?
The eBay. You know, the eBay. It's like when people go, oh, just post that on the Facebook.
I know that eBay kicked off around the time of the Beanie Babies.
Don't spoil it.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to tell you what I know. It's the biggest e-commerce, or one of the biggest e-commerce bidding auction sites out there.
Yes, it is. And probably one of the most successful, but also it's a shining star because it was one of the major survivors from the dot-com bust. So Adam, eBay was founded in 1995 by a French-Iranian-American programmer called Pierre Omidyar. And basically it started out as a way for him to make just a little bit of extra money on the side. Do you know what eBay was initially called?
No.
Auction web.
Auction web.
Which it's kind of a bit meh.
Says
name,
what
right?
it is on the tin.
Yeah, but it doesn't really fill me with excitement.
Well, no, but then does eBay?
Not really, no. But as a concept, Pierre, he does really land on something really unique because Auction Web is one of the first companies to offer a consumer marketplace directly on the internet, basically matching buyers to sellers. When the site first launched, the first item ever sold was actually a broken laser pointer that Pierre listed himself. It ended up being bought by a Canadian guy called Mark Fisher for $14.83, which is quite a lot of money.
A broken one, though.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, at the time, like a new laser pointer was like $100. So he figured that if he bought a broken one, he could try to repair it. And then once he repaired it, then he would have a cheap laser pointer, essentially.
True. But then even as Pierre, like, he obviously wants this to be a success. So the first thing he lists is a broken item.
I honestly do not think it had anything to do with trying to turn a profit. It was probably testing the process.
Okay.
But the thing is, though, it's been 30 years since he bought this laser pointer and he still has it, but he's not gotten around to fixing it.
Oh.
So it's just sitting in a box somewhere. But he's really proud of the fact that he's bought the first item ever sold on eBay.
His customer ID must be like 00002.
Possibly. But he's really proud of the fact that he has like 100% accelerating as well.
Oh.
It's the most important thing to him 30 years later. In AuctionWeb's first year, they end up facilitating $7.2 million worth of sales between buyers and sellers, which is astonishing. So realizing that Pierre has landed on something special, he decides that he's going to quit his job to focus on the marketplace full time. It's in the site's second year that they process their 1 millionth sale. And at this point, it's when Pierre decides that he is going to change the name from AuctionWeb to eBay. And so eBay was finally born.
And how did he land on the name? Like eBay? Is it E for e-commerce?
Actually, the E stands for EcommerceBytes.
EcommerceBytes.
Yeah, which was the name of the consulting company that he owned at the time. But when he went to go register the domain, the name had already been taken by, I think, a gold mining company somewhere. So he ended up settling on ebay.com.
So actually, there is nothing to do with auctions or any kind of hidden meaning.
EcommerceBytes. But I think a lot of people just assume that the E stands for electronics or e-commerce, but no, it stands for bloody Echo. So the success of eBay is largely put down to one thing which you already alluded to earlier on.
Beanie Babies.
The Beanie Baby bubble of the 1990s.
That's how it took off, really, wasn't it? In terms of like...
Pretty much,
I don't know, nationally in America? Was it international at this point?
I mean, it was operating in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the Beanie Baby bubble was the very first episode we ever did on this podcast. And it was largely down to basically a bunch of soccer moms out of Illinois who realized that there was a secondary sales demand for Beanie Babies at the time. And eBay, as a platform, offered them an opportunity to capitalize on that. Sales of secondhand Beanie Babies on eBay ended up accounting for more than $500 million alone, which at the time is 6% of Time Warner's entire company valuation, which is massive. But another reason for eBay's success was that it was one of the rare actual utilities that came out of the dot-com bubble at the time. Most of them were gimmicky sites. They didn't really have any practical purpose, but that didn't matter because it was new and it was innovative. But the vast majority of websites, like I said, they were just really gimmicky. They didn't really have any major practical kind of purpose. If they did, the business operations were extremely vulnerable behind the scenes and disguised behind the novelty factor of it just being on the internet. And so there was a stark reality that once this novelty factor wore off, it likely meant bad news for a lot of these businesses that were online, right? eBay, however, they had managed to tap into a niche that connected millions of people around the world to a single global marketplace. Prior to eBay, selling anything at a meaningful scale required a physical bricks and mortar store.
I'm guessing Amazon wasn't around at this point.
Amazon was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. They were focusing primarily on books at that time.
That's right.
By 1998, eBay started offering its own IPO. And on the first day of trading, shares opened at $18. And by the end of that first day, the IPO closed at $53 a share, essentially making Pierre a billionaire overnight.
Wow, that's almost triple in a day.
Yeah. And so it really is an incredible achievement for a company that had just started out as a hobby 3 years previously. Mm-hmm. But even while the internet was exploding into everyday life, doubts were starting to creep in because companies were purposefully running their businesses at a loss. They were chasing market share with a whole get big fast kind of mindset, which works fine when money is easy and investors are still writing you checks. Many were being propped up by this idea that a business model relying on transaction fees and subscriptions was only a problem if the economy was in danger. And at that moment in time, the economy was great. As far as they could see, customers weren't going anywhere. That was until March 2000, when Japan is hit by a massive recession, and it ends up cascading globally. Banks start hiking up their interest rates, consumers, they of course stop spending, and investors as a result start shifting away from these speculative assets, which included many of the online websites with these shaky kind of business models that hadn't been really thought out properly. Like I said, their mindset was grow fast, grow quickly. Trillions of dollars ended up dissolving almost overnight. However, the recession made eBay's value proposition even sharper than it had ever been, because when people were tightening their belts or desperate to make some extra cash on the site to support themselves, they go bargain hunting, right? And so, of course, where are you going to go when you want to do that? You're going to go to eBay, which was the perfect place. And so it was recession proof. And so when the bubble smoke cleared, eBay was one of the few shining diamonds that was still left standing. They had proved essentially their utility.
Is it a bit like with lockdown, how all these Shopify stores kicked off essentially because people found an opportunity. Either they wanted to start a side hustle or they wanted to make some extra money. I imagine eBay probably was huge back then because people had nothing else to do. So it's one of those, it's convenience, isn't it, a little bit?
Yeah. And I guess the test is like when you're going through that hard period of time like lockdown was, who was left standing at the end? And essentially that is what the dot-com bubble boom was. Who was standing once the earthquake has shook?
Yeah, like how many sites that were around then are still as big as they are now?
Well, I mean, you've got Google, you've got
eBay,
Amazon. You've got Amazon.
But things like Ask Jeeves, AOL, or Yahoo, all these things, or at least that were big elsewhere in the world, they're just tiny now in comparison.
Yeah. But this is the thing that I found really interesting about the whole dot-com boom is that a lot of the founders of these companies, they were just regular Joes that were working like a 9 to 5, grinding away against the corporate machine that was for years sucking them dry. And so you see this trend where you've got the likes of eBay, Amazon, Google, who all commit to doing business differently to the massive conglomerates that came before them. And you can absolutely hear this commitment in the mottos that they adopted very early on. Google's, of course, was famously, "Don't be evil."
Weird tagline.
Yeah. But again, it reflected that commitment to not following the same footsteps as the big evil corporations that came before them, essentially. Amazon's reflected a promise to put the customer first, and theirs was customer obsessed.
Okay.
And in a similar fashion, eBay's early motto was, get this, people are basically good.
These are all very odd mottos. When I think of the businesses now, I'm like, that just does not fit.
Yeah, and the thing is that they come with this kind of consumer contract, right? It's like a promise. You do business with us, this is what we promise to do.
Sure.
It's a bit like John Lewis, where they had never knowingly undersold. We also had one with Gucci, which was, I can't remember, it was something about value and commitment to quality. But as a logo, I think it says a lot because it puts it almost like a contract above their name.
Sure.
And eBay's was born out this belief that ordinary individuals, when empowered by technology, would trade honestly without kind of any heavy corporate kind of oversight. And of course, I mention this now because it's a foreshadowing of how quickly, especially eBay, will abandon this motto.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because of the couple that complained about them.
Exactly. But also, don't be evil is no longer Google's motto. They got rid of that years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
because they couldn't commit to not being evil.
It kind of feels like you should just do that anyway. That doesn't need to be a motto.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So eBay, they made it through the bust. They were even stronger than ever. Their valuation continues to soar throughout the 2000s. And by 2002, they have acquired PayPal for $1.4 billion, as well as a bunch of other companies, including like Skype, before it was eventually sold to Microsoft. They also own like big chunks of Craigslist, which is Gumtree here in the UK.
Oh, yeah. Is Gumtree even still going?
It is, and I think it is actually owned by eBay as well.
Okay.
They're basically going about buying up a bunch of different companies at a discount rate following like the dot-com bust, if you will. And at its peak, eBay employ more than 34,000 people across all the companies that they own across the world.
Wow.
It's wild. But even in spite of their success, eBay, Adam, they do face a lot of criticism. One of the biggest was in a complete contradiction to their motto at the time. And that is when the site basically becomes overrun with counterfeit products. Brands like Louis Vuitton, they start losing millions of dollars in sales, which is all facilitated through eBay. And for ages, eBay refused to do anything about it, which leads to these massive brands across the world just suing them for damages. But buyers and sellers were also very direct with their own criticism towards eBay as well, because for a long time, a huge bone of contention was eBay's reluctance to do anything about shill bidding. Do you know what that is?
Shield bidding, no.
Shill bidding, SHILL.
I definitely don't know what that is.
Basically, it's when people bid on their own items to raise the auction price.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you know exactly. And it's so frustrating when people do that, right?
Yeah, is that why, like, typically is this when you, like, put a bid in and then automatically it gets bid by someone else?
Yeah. I mean, there is a threshold that you can set. So you can say, I'm going to start my bid at $1, but I'm going to go as high as $5. So if someone comes in and bids at $2, you're instantly outbid because you can set a higher threshold. It's like automating the process.
Yeah, which I think is good as a buyer. But yeah, that was always the worry with eBay is buying something that's counterfeit, but it doesn't seem like it. Whereas with Amazon, you always felt like trusted, going, yeah, this is the product from the manufacturer.
But I don't feel like that now.
Now, because of their marketplace, it just feels like eBay.
eBay have actually now put in various services where they will qualify whether or not something is genuine. When you want to sell some trainers, Jordans or whatever, you can actually send them to eBay. They will check them out and they will verify that they are genuine. Same with watches and things like that. That's part of one of their more recent commitments, possibly implemented like in 2020, I think. The point is, time and time again, throughout eBay's rise up to the point of 2019, their motto has constantly been stress tested from every single angle. And it starts to feel like many people are not basically good. Which brings us, Adam, to our stalking scandal. One that seems to prove that even eBay itself was unable to live up to that very same premise.
That people are basically good.
Exactly.
Basically good. Mostly good. Sort of good.
Yeah, that's it. And so this is when they get embroiled in one of the biggest cyberstalking scandals of the digital age, which is just so wild for me to even say those words, that a company as big as eBay has gotten themselves involved in something like this.
And so Pierre, he created eBay and he's still there at this point.
No, I don't think so. I think he's long gone. He did not feature in the story at all. I think he's like a founder from the days of yore.
Days of yore, made some money, sold it, moved on.
Yeah, exactly. And so our story actually starts, even though we're at 2019, we're going to go back a bit to the origins of eBay. Back to the late 1990s, when eBay was proving to be a massive hit with millions of monthly visitors. Two of those were husband and wife, Ina and David Steiner from Natick, Massachusetts. And they were avid online buyers and sellers on eBay. And at the time, Ina was working at a publishing company and David was like a video producer. They both shared this huge love for garage sales. And so together they would go off hunting for collectibles and different antiques so they could sell those on eBay and other marketplaces that were around at the time.
So this is like their side hustle.
Exactly, yes. However, they find themselves continuously frustrated by eBay and other marketplaces like Amazon's continuous tweaking of their sites and adjusting their policies, which made the sites really difficult to use. And so they decided that they were going to set up a website called EcommerceBytes.com with the sole purpose of guiding early internet auction buyers and sellers on how to navigate these online e-commerce sites, basically.
It's a bit like an FAQ information guide.
It's a trade publication and a newsletter. Exactly what you've just pretty much said. But over time, it expands to include a blog. It includes service ratings and tools for online trading. As a platform, it grows really quickly and it actually becomes an industry go-to resource. Credible enough that companies like eBay and Amazon go to them directly whenever they want to share an update that subscribers might be interested to know more about. By 2020, the site was receiving 600,000 monthly visitors, which is huge. The vast majority of these people are people who are making a living selling on eBay.
Yeah, so this is a bit like a how-to. You start a business, you go on there, they give you all the information of how you're going to set your account up.
Yeah, how do you use these sites, especially when they're always shifting kind of their prices and their seller fees, etc.? It's just,
sure.
If you have a question, we can help answer it. We will also give you some industry news on like, hey, there's a new CEO of Amazon and here's everything you need to know about him. Basically, Ina and David are just an ordinary couple doing ordinary things. They met in college, they get married, they build this little site that they have been running for 20 years, just helping people navigate the pains of using these online auction sites.
Sure.
By 2019, though, on the other side of the USA, eBay has been operating out of their corporate headquarters in San Jose, California since 2003. This is like prime Silicon Valley territory, Adam. And over the years, their headquarters has expanded into this massive campus. They employ like in excess of like 12,000 people across different divisions and subdivisions just at this one site. One of those divisions was the Global Security and Resilience team. And a key part of what they did was keeping track of any persons of interest, which eBay defined as anyone who would pose a potential danger to the company.
Okay. So it feels like part of their role should be like looking out for competitors, people that might be breaching like copyright or trademarks, that kind of thing.
Basically, anyone considered a threat was systematically logged in what eBay called the threat matrix, which contained obviously the entity's personal information like their home address, their photos. There'd be dossier files on them.
Wow.
Basically everything that they had.
Imagine it's like those spy movies where they have those files and you open it up, you see the picture, location, what they had for breakfast,
what they're doing right now,
where they go to yoga.
Yeah.
Wow. And I would have loved to be in those meetings for that team, like on a Monday. So can we have updates of key personal interests? And then they'll be like, oh, this is Sarah, who is startup Shebay. And yeah, she went out for breakfast with a new man. That's not her husband.
Yeah. If we feel like we need to take her down, she always orders the eggs. So we could always poison the eggs. Yeah. Guarantee a sting. Yeah.
Or take some photos, send it to her husband, and then be like, that'll tip off their new boyfriend.
Yeah. What they would then do is they would then rank each one of these based on several factors, like the power and influence that they had. The matrix was largely made up of journalists and bloggers. Anyone who had previously published any negative stories or amplified any anti-eBay sentiments online or in print, they were on this list.
And that's how Ina and David get on this list.
But they are the very bottom of this list. They get like 600,000 subscribers to their website, but in comparison to stuff, they're a small fry. They're tiny. And they're so innocuous. Like, they're not a threat.
It's just a how-to site.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The policies that eBay kept on how they are supposed to, I can't believe I'm saying this, neutralize these threats, they're never really defined. It was mostly just about maintaining visibility of what they were up to. That is it.
I reckon they're like planting salmonella, poisonings, all sorts.
No, they're not doing that.
How do we know that for sure?
Well, I mean, we know that they devolved down to that, but at this moment in time, it's just like, what's on the threat matrix? So rather than enacting any systematic processes of dealing with them, it's just visibility. Now, the global security and resilience team is tiny in comparison to other divisions. They employ like 20 people, usually from security backgrounds, which meant that the team was made up of retired police officers and security consultants, basically people with egos.
And private investigators?
Pretty much, I wouldn't be surprised. The team was also headed up by a guy called James Ball, and under him was the department supervisor, a woman called Stephanie Pop. Basically, their management style was that cliche early 2000s startup culture. It is so cringe because the overarching philosophy is, Adam, we're family.
We're family until we're not.
Exactly. And James and Stephanie, literally, they tell people to call them mom and dad, which makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, don't do that.
They also adopt all these mantras like move fast and break things, or we work hard and we play hard. They also try to create this culture of camaraderie. So there's snooker tables and tiki bars all over the place. They even offer like a lunch service, which sounds like they're really putting people first. But honestly, as we know now, it's purely a tactic to just keep people at work longer.
Yes, yeah.
Ultimately, it's propaganda, basically, of the early 2000s. And James, as a manager, he is middle-aged. He's very authoritative as a guy. He's actually an ex-CIA operative, which means that he has a militant streak, especially when it comes to his management style and security threats in general.
Does he get them all to like line up in the morning whilst they're giving their briefing?
I wouldn't be surprised, basically. There's this incident where he finds a knife left on a barbecue grill after like a team hootenanny.
A knife on a grill?
On a grill.
What did he do? I hope the person was fired.
He's furious, basically. He gathers everyone around and he just goes on this massive rant about how this could have hurt someone or someone could have used it as a lethal weapon. And then to drill the message home, he starts stabbing the chair repeatedly. And then after that, he tells everyone not to remove the knife because it should stay there as a warning to not do it again.
So they're just going to leave the knife on the barbecue?
No, in a chair.
Oh, in a chair.
He stabbed a chair.
So you're having a meeting, you got like a knife just like poking out.
People are like, that's potentially dangerous. Someone could sit on that. So he doesn't live by what he preaches, basically.
He sounds like he's got a bit of an ego. He wants to rule the roost.
He's also really cheesy. And his favorite thing to do is repeat film quotes, which he constantly uses to inspire and motivate his team. He'll like play clips from like Wolf of Wall Street to illustrate the sense of camaraderie that he expects within the team. He also loves to play clips from Meet the Fockers, you know, with Robert De Niro. The whole circle of trust kind of spiel that he gives Ben Stiller. He'll like go up to someone and he'll be like, I'm telling you this now because we are in a circle of trust together. It's just so cringe.
I feel like if you ever come across these people, you just need to get out.
I know. Yes, exactly. It is such a toxic environment to work in. Like, it looks really cool. Yeah, they got a tiki bar. But I think if you have a tiki bar, you're making up for something that you're fundamentally lacking. And that is
a life outside of work.
Exactly. But the thing is, though, the way he runs his division, he does so with a full expectation of complete and utter devout loyalty. Like, I mean, in every sense of the word. But that loyalty, as it is with these types of startups, is a one-way street because he will routinely fire people for almost no reason. There's an instance where one woman gets sacked because she didn't smile enough in front of a senior executive.
What?
Yep. Someone else gets sacked because he hated how they chewed on their pen.
Is this in the contract? That's a sackable offense.
What do you mean?
Well, that's unfair dismissal, right? Or do they not have rights?
Oh, a lot of these people are contractors as well, so they pretty much don't get any severance pay anyway. And in America, it's different kettle of fish. You can just sack people without any kind of reason, really.
Like chewing on a pen?
Yeah. Like one of their mantras was, we fail forwards, but God help you if you actually do fuck up because you're going to get sacked.
Yeah.
By 2018, the department is mysteriously made up of just women, which is when James starts referring to his team as Jim's Angels.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So a play on Charlie's Angels, which is just so embarrassing.
I hope they're listening.
They might be.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So Adam, by 2019, eBay has started to feel a little bit stagnant. And one of the reasons was that eBay was spread really thin. They had all these different side businesses that they had acquired over the years, which came often at the expense of eBay's core marketplace. That is when an activist hedge fund called Elliott Management decided that they would like to invest in eBay, but they quickly realized that all these other businesses that eBay had were seriously distracting eBay from what they did best. Their thinking was that if eBay could shed some of these side businesses, like I'm talking like Skype and Craigslist and Gumtree, just get rid of them, right? Mm-hmm. So you can focus on eBay itself. Their thinking was that they would then be able to refocus on the marketplace and tap into significant opportunities to increase the share price. But in order for Elliott Management to do this as an investor, they were going to need a considerable stake. And so in 2019, Elliott buys roughly 4% of eBay. By activist investor terms, that is literally enough for them to win the right to issue various recommendations on how they should be running the organization.
I guess that's going to cost them a lot of money to have 5% of shares, though.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, but it gives them voting power, essentially.
Sure.
And once they're in, Elliott decides to publicly make their intentions clear for their vision for eBay. They publish an open letter which criticizes eBay's current performance. And they basically call for sweeping changes across the country, which includes potentially replacing the current CEO, Devin Wang.
Okay.
Their argument basically is that eBay stock had underperformed both its peers and the wider market for years. And so suddenly David Wang's future at eBay is potentially up for discussion because they can bring that to the board's table if they wanted to. And he's scared that's going to happen. And so to make sure this doesn't happen, David Wang commits to all the rapid restructuring to show Elliott Management that he was on board with whatever they wanted to kind of enact. And please don't sack me, basically.
That's crazy how much sway 5% will have.
So around this time, back in Natick, Boston, Massachusetts, David Steiner learns about Elliott Management's open letter to the eBay's board. So in January 2019, Ina posts an article titled, "Activist Investor Eviscerates eBay Management." She basically summarizes the existing open letter, which accuses eBay of misexecution. She isn't saying anything outrageous at this point, right? She's basically just echoing what Elliott Management has already publicly said.
Okay, fine. So it's not, it sounds pretty standard then for her to report on that.
Sure. But what is very clear is that between the lines of what she writes, there is very much a tone of enthusiasm about what Elliott Management want to do because she wants them to focus on the eBay selling platform because it benefits her and benefits her subscribers.
Yeah.
Devin Wang, however, does not like this at all because Elliot's open letter is a direct reflection of how he has been running eBay for the last 4 years. Ina has now amplified that. So Devin instructs the global security and resilience team to keep an eye on the Steiner's activity. Around the same time, in February of 2019, Devin hires Steve Weimer as his new chief communications officer. His role is basically to oversee eBay's reputation management, which at the time, the buzz was all around, hey, like, what's our story?
Oh yeah, what's the story? What's the narrative? Yeah.
It's so cringe.
Sounds like they made a role for this guy.
Yeah. So Devin is basically so concerned about his public image that he's brought in a new person at this level. And again, for the Steiners, they think the news of this new hire is something that their subscribers will be interested in hearing about. So in April of 2019, Ina writes an article about Steve Weiner joining the company. In it, though, she notes that Devin's salary of $18 million was actually 152 times the average annual salary of a regular eBay employee.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it? And she suggests that kind of pay might also be coming at the expense of eBay sellers. And it's also a very fair opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if Elliott Management were interested in reducing costs and improving kind of the operations of the business, then maybe that might be something that they might consider looking at.
I mean, it's a lot of money. Does Devin feel like it's a personal attack?
Yes, exactly. He feels it's a personal attack. It's the kind of public jab that makes someone already anxious feel even more anxious because he knows that if anyone sees that, it's just bringing attention to the fact that he is earning $18 million a year. If Elliott Management see it, they could easily go, do you know what? This woman is right. Let's bring this to the board table. But the point is, she only has 600,000 subscribers. They're probably not looking at her site.
Yeah, exactly. Because her site is pretty much for like startups, it feels, or kind of small to medium businesses. Mm-hmm. It's not for big corporates by the sounds of things.
Absolutely not.
But then for Devin, I guess he's underperforming. And that's one way to turn around the company.
So when this post goes live, Steve Weimer, he's our new communications officer, he sends a link to Devin. Devin is furious and he replies to Steve, "We're going to crush this lady."
Wow. Why didn't you focus on your actual job, Devin?
Yeah. So I don't think it's just the Steiners hitting this nerve. He's clearly been just doom scrolling through the threat matrix. He's living in it, which by design is a concentrated slurry of people just taking shots at him. And so I get why he might feel like he's just under attack from everyone.
I feel like with a CEO, though, you need to have broad shoulders, right? You can't take things to heart. So it doesn't sound like he's perhaps the right CEO for this business.
No. And the fact that he's probably living this list, I think he's just lost all perspective. So just to show you how severe his losing touch with reality is, at the very bottom, and I mean at the very bottom of the threat matrix list, is another name, a Twitter user who goes by the name of Fido Master. Now, Fido Master is not even an eBay user at all. However, his wife is, and she has recently gotten more and more frustrated by the unfair treatment towards sellers on the platform. Now, Fido Master, he is just being a supportive husband, and he is simply echoing a few of her grumbles. And the thing that shows how much Devin is losing touch of reality is that Fido Master's tweets get zero traction. Like, they get half a dozen likes at best. It is the reason why he's literally at the bottom of this list. He's just a guy with a tiny megaphone. And yet, seeing these tweets sends Devin, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company on an $18 million salary, into a literal spiral rage. Who gives a shit what Fido Master says? Do you know what I mean?
There's bigger things surely for him to be dealing with right now. But I don't know, his ego has clearly, been hit.
Again, I think it's because he's living inside this list. Just close the list. Go touch grass. You know what I mean?
Step outside.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Anyway, Devin instructs the global security and resilience team to start looking into Fido Master a bit more. He's like, there's no way this guy deserves to be at the bottom of that list.
He should be higher? That's so stupid.
It is so dumb. So a month later, in May 2019, Ina writes another article. This time saying that Devin Wang has promised to give sellers greater protection from fraudulent buyers on the platform. And she speculates excitedly on what that might mean for other sellers. Again, like, this isn't a hit job. She is just holding up a mirror to what the CEO of eBay has already pledged to do. Mm-hmm. When Steve Weimer sees this article, he sends it, of course, to Devin, and Devin responds, sarcastically, may I add, whoa, shockingly reasonable. Which it is, especially if this is what you've promised. But in Devin's mind, he has stopped seeing these articles for what they are. To him, it's just one more piece in this public scrutiny of him. at the exact moment where he's already feeling the heat. So there's a bit of back and forth between Devon and Steve about Ina, and at the end of it, Devon says, I couldn't care less what she says, I want to take her down.
Well, that's an oxymoron.
I think he does care.
Yeah, just a tad.
Just a little bit. So the Global Security and Resilience team, managed under James, remember Mr. Chair Stepper, they're instructed to take action and take Ina down.
What's he going to do with his angels?
So cringe.
Come on, angels. Let's get in the van.
Now, this is key, right? While looking through Steiner's dossier on the threat matrix, James becomes utterly convinced that there is a connection between the Steiners and Fidomaster.
What, he either thinks they're one and the same, or
Yes.
like they're plotting some kind of weird
He
group?
thinks that they're the same entity.
Okay.
They are not, may I add. So 8 days after Devon instructs that the Steiners be taken down, a member of the Global Security and Resilience Division takes a 6-hour first-class flight from California to Boston. They drive all the way to the Steiners' house on the outskirts of Boston, and they spray paint the words Fidomaster on their fence. He thinks basically they're saying, nice try, we know you're Fidomaster.
And they probably come out and like, what the hell is this?
They come out and they go, some yob has like put their name on our fence.
Someone has tagged our fence. Yeah, some youth.
But it's also equally embarrassing because they think that this is their gotcha moment. That's what's the cringe part of this. But the Steiners are like, pesky kids.
This is a multi-billion-dollar business who's used their weird resilience team.
Yeah. And bear in mind, they're doing this because they feel threatened by an account who gets literally 6 likes.
Well, I bet that'll teach them.
So next, the Global Security and Resilience team, they properly set out to prove that Fidomaster was actually the Steiners. They set up a fake Twitter account, a woman calling herself Marissa. Her profile picture implies that she's like in her early 20s. Her bio says that she's a former eBay employee. She slides into Fidomaster's DMs claiming that she has extremely damaging videos of eBay executives misbehaving and that she needs his help in getting that footage to the Steiners. The idea is simple. Fidomaster will either admit that he knows them or slip up and reveal that he is actually them, basically. Fidomaster's response is basically, yeah, I don't know who they are. Marissa obviously doesn't buy it because she believes that this is some kind of weird espionage that's gone all the way to like Russia.
Yeah.
Like, he is just some guy on the internet. If he says he doesn't know who they are, just believe him. What is he trying to hide?
Yeah, and equally, if I was Fidomaster and I received that message, I'd be like, why are you telling me? Knowing that what my following is, why would you just not go to the newspapers or, I don't know, the TV with this kind of news story?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you coming to me? My biggest tweet is a cat photo with 15 likes. Do you know what I mean? Marissa, she keeps pushing though. Fidomaster, he finally loses patience. He does a quick Google search. He finds Ina Steiner's publicly available email address, like the kind that you would find like in literally 5 seconds. He then sends it back to Marissa and he's like, there you go. I found it instantly. By the way, do you not work in tech?
Was this why you were let go?
Then Marissa, she kind of ups the weirdness and she suggests that she could actually leave the footage on a thumb drive in a hotel in any city in the world of his choice so that basically he can pick it up and then pass it on to his mates, the Steiners.
What?
And again, Fidomaster is like, listen, I'm not interested in whatever the fuck this is. I don't know who the Steiners are. And also, I don't think what you need is a whistleblower. I think what you need is a lawyer.
It's so stupid. I can't believe they think that this would work, to be honest.
Yeah, it is dumb. And when Fidomaster doesn't take the bait, when he reacts like any normal person would do, not someone who's hiding a secret identity, they realize that he isn't actually connected to the Steiners at all. And so this is when they realize that their CEO's paranoia is starting to spiral into somewhere really dark.
Yeah, just a tad. I mean, the fact that they are on eBay's payroll doing this crazy stupidity, essentially, it just seems so bizarre to me.
It is wild, Adam.
And also, the head of their team is like ex-CIA. This is the best that he can come up with?
Yeah.
Just a fake profile called Marissa. That will fish him out.
Well, they do tell James this. They're like, we are convinced that Fidomaster is not the Steiners. But James is like, they're just playing 4D chess, babe. It's like,
I should know.
Yeah. He says, if they won't bite, we'll just have to ramp things up. Of course, Ina and David, they have no idea any of this is happening. The most they know is that they've had a pain trying to get the graffiti off the fence. Other than that, they're going about their day normally. They are not even thinking about David Wang in any capacity whatsoever, yet David Wang is being consumed by this couple.
He's got like that picture on a dartboard, and every night he's like throwing darts at them.
So embarrassing. So on the 1st of August, it's business as usual for Ina, who writes a short post about a lawsuit that eBay is filing against Amazon, accusing them of poaching eBay sellers. Basically, Amazon are like creating these fake accounts, then they're going onto eBay, and then they're sending these sellers different messages to say, oh, we've got better rates over at Amazon. Why don't you come over to us? It's innocuous at best.
Yeah, that's not a lawsuit, is it?
He's going to try and make it a lawsuit. But the thing is, though, she is just reporting the facts. But buried in it is the mild insinuation that she is skeptical of David's tough tactics in this lawsuit. She's really just, who cares? If eBay was good enough, then Amazon wouldn't be successful at poaching these sellers away.
That's true.
So 30 minutes after the article goes up, Devon messages Stephen Weimer saying, if you're ever going to take her down, now is the time. And Steve replies with, on it. Steve then texts James saying, if hatred is a sin, then I am very sinful. And he follows up with, she is a biased troll who needs to get burned down in all capital letters, 1 exclamation point. And then in all caps, he goes, I want her done.
What does that mean?
Exactly.
Are they actually going to put a hit on her?
It feels like it could get that way, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, actually, good point. This feels like it could get out of hand.
That sounds like an absolute threat.
Yes.
So James obviously gets the message loud and clear. He starts planning on how they're going to take down the Steiners. He calls a recon meeting to brainstorm in the conference room. But before they do that, he decides the mission needs a cool name. You might think that he might go for something like Operation Thunderbird or something cool and exotic like that. But the best that he can come up with is The Op.
Well, it doesn't sound like he has a lot of work to do, to be honest, if this is what he's being tasked with.
So to get everyone motivated, he then plays them a clip from a movie. So you would think it would be something from like Die Hard or Lethal Weapon. Instead, he plays them a clip from a 1988 teen movie called Johnny Be Good, which stars Robert Downey Jr. and Uma Thurman. And in it, the football coach has to basically deal with a bunch of pests that are just like showing up at his house at random times. Like a delivery guy will show up with like loads of unwanted pizzas. Hare Krishna will turn up on an elephant. Like a rodent exterminator will turn up. And at one point, even a male stripper arrives at the door as well. And the random people basically showing up are meant to symbolize how eBay was under attack by these random people.
Right, okay.
So following this clip, basically, after he's got everyone motivated, they start brainstorming on different ways to bring the Steiners down. Mm-hmm. In the end, they plan to launch a series of harassment attacks to shake them up enough to distract them from writing any more negative posts online. Then, the second part of the plan is that eBay will swoop in, offer to help stop the attacks. This will impress them so much that they'll realize that actually eBay are the good guys in all of this, and then they'll start writing favorable articles about them.
So eBay saves the day, and all is good in the world.
Yeah, basically eBay can see the headline now. Blogger admits we were wrong about eBay.
And what kind of attacks? Like, for eBay to swoop in, What are they doing? What are they saving Ina and David from?
Well, we'll find out after the break.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So Adam, the first thing they do is they start sending Ina a series of Twitter messages from a fake account, supposedly based in Samoa. The handle is 2EcoLie.
I'm sorry, that took me a while to get that.
It's difficult to say 2EcoLie. And to make it obviously even more sinister, they use a skull as the profile picture. The account's whole character arc is that it is a eBay user whose sales have been affected by EcommerceBytes websites, which I don't know how that computes. I don't know how they have directly impacted their sales because at the end of the day, they're just like an industry publication, basically.
Yeah.
But the point is they have serious beef with Ina and David. Initially, Ina does the grown-up thing and she ignores these messages. But the more she ignores them, the angrier 2EcoLie gets, and eventually he sends them a message saying, I guess I'm going to have to get your attention another way, bitch.
Wow.
So on the 10th of August at 4 p.m, a package arrives at the Steiner's house. They don't know who sent it, but when they open it, it is a pig's fetus.
Really?
Yeah. It's the sort a university would use to dissect and study. So it's literally got all of its entrails and organs and stuff inside of it.
Right.
After the delivery is confirmed, 2EcoLie sends the message, do I have your attention now?
Wow.
5 question marks, all caps.
This is crazy.
So the same day, the Steiners also noticed that they've been signed up to a bunch of weird online newsletters, like Irritable Bowel Syndrome News. They get signed up to the Satanic Temple membership, but also various fetish website mailing lists and newsletters.
Of course, that's the go-to, right?
Yeah. In total, they work out that they've been signed up to like 50 different subscriptions.
They must report this as a crime, though, right?
Yeah, they do. Naturally, they're freaked out, right? So they call the police, but there's not really much that they can do. The best they offer is to send a patrol car to drive past the house a couple of times a day. But really, other than the Twitter account from a guy in Samoa, like they have nothing to go on. The next day, on the 11th of August, James sends an update to Steve Weiner telling him how the op is going. Steve is not satisfied. He responds with, I want to see ashes, as long as it takes and whatever it takes.
Ashes? What does he mean by that?
He's basically saying killer.
Really?
Yeah, come on. What else could that mean? That's definitely a threat of violence or death, right? I want to see ashes. He's not saying, I want to go to the ashes. Like, I want to go watch a bit of cricket.
No, it doesn't sound like that. But I was just trying to double check, like, that's actually how far he wants to go with this?
Sounds like it. It sounds like that's what he's willing to do. And I think we need to look at his words very carefully because, again, it's going to outrage you when we get to the very end of this.
I'm interested to hear his side of the story when he defends himself.
Yeah. So following this, more deliveries arrive because obviously James needs to up the ante, right? This time, this package is addressed to David, and it is a funeral wreath.
Oh.
The next day, he receives another package, again to David. This time it's a book titled Grief Diaries, Surviving the Loss of a Spouse.
Okay, now it is concerning.
Concerning or thoughtful? Like, we're sorry we're going to have to kill your wife, but we think that this will help you process it all.
Yeah. And
P.S. Please contact us for customer assistance so we can assist you with losing your partner.
And they've got a wreath as well, so they're kind of thoughtful.
It's just wild that all of this was okayed by upper management. It's crazy. Next, they receive a box of live fly larvae.
Okay, so would you be opening these boxes inside? I don't know. To be fair, if this is day 3 or 4, I'd be like, come on now, please. Get involved.
Following this, they then get another package, this time a box of cockroaches.
Okay.
After that, a box of live spiders. Basically, they're hoping to distract them from publishing blog posts by drowning them in the responsibility of pet care.
Yeah, what are they doing with all these animals?
They're keeping them.
No.
They're raising them.
No,
they must be. In my mind, they're keeping them. They have an entire menagerie of animals, including the pig fetus. Yeah. I know it's dead, but they pick it up and they go, come on then. And they like pretend to make it all animated.
That's dark.
It's really dark. So next, the Steiner's neighbors, they get a package as well. It's addressed to David. So it's sent to them directly, but it's got David's name on it. So they know that the package is meant to be for David. It contains basically this month's Hustler magazine. And it's titled Barely Legal Eye-Popping 18-Year-Olds.
No.
Which is designed, of course, to wreck their reputation and standing in their community.
Of course, humiliate them.
Of course, David has to explain that it isn't his. He's like, someone is sending me weird stuff in the post. But they're like, of course you would say that. That's like the pervert's motto. You put your one hand down your pants and you say, I know nothing about this. Someone from Samoa is sending them to me. It's textbook.
Logical explanation.
Then the calls start coming in. Turns out that eBay have registered their interest in starting a franchise for a chain of sex shops. So they're suddenly getting all these earnest calls from people saying, hi, just following up about your inquiry to start up your own branch of Knobs and Knockers. They're like, what the fuck?
Is that the actual name?
No, it's not. After this, the Steiners receive another message from the Samoan account saying, when you hurt our business, you hurt our families. People will do anything to protect their family. 5 exclamation points.
Okay.
So he means business, right? These are threatening things.
Yeah.
All of this really starts to erode David and Ina's entire lives. They become more and more anxious about leaving the house. They start sleeping in separate bedrooms so that if an intruder breaks in and gets one of them first, then the other then has a chance to either react or defend the other one.
Oh, wow.
Ina's nightly routine is making sure that there is a baseball bat in her bedroom and there's a golf club in the office. And she'll then also roll like a laundry cart stacked with pots and pans in front of the back door. So if everyone basically breaks in, it'll alert them and give them time to react.
That's crazy. This is, they feel threatened.
Yeah.
Their life under attack.
So basically, if anything did kick off and someone broke in, the plan was to, of course, call the police, grab the bat or the golf club, and then go save the other one, essentially, which is really scary to have to coach each other through that. This is the plan. This is what you do. Obviously, David is like, bring the grief book because we're supposed to fill this out. Otherwise, it's just a waste. But also throughout all of this, with the responsibility of trying to protect Ina, he just cannot function. He can't sleep at night. He wakes up every 2 hours, like obsessively checking the surveillance cameras that he's got set up around the house. So it's just awful. I would not want to be in this situation. So a week later, around mid-August, James decides that he's going to ramp up the harassment and he ropes in another contractor in his team called Veronica and David Harwell, who is actually the director of the Global Security and Resilience team. So he is proof that this went all the way up to the top. Veronica, of course, she doesn't want to go. But again, remember, she's a low-level employee, so she doesn't want to get fired. But at the same time, she's also one of the very few people who are on the low level who see how crazy all of this is anyway. But she has to go. They fly first class to Boston, check into the Ritz-Carlton. So this is costing them thousands of dollars each time they make a trip out to Boston. Their plan is to essentially drive to the Steiners and install a GPS tracker on their car. But when they arrive, they realize that the car is actually kept behind a locked garage. But the thing I don't understand that doesn't make real sense to me is that why do you want to track their movements? The Steiners, they literally live and operate from their home. Like, it makes me wonder whether or not James has just decided that they're going to do this because this is what he sees in the movies.
Yeah, is this what he used to do in his old job?
I don't know. I don't think so.
What kind of data or intel are they going to get unless they're going to use it to blackmail them, maybe? I don't know.
It's just like, what's the point? They just run this small little blog. Like, where are they going to go? You're going to watch them go to Tesco.
Yeah.
That's it. James also buys a police radio so he can listen out if the Steiners report a suspicious car waiting out on the street. That way they can just make a run for it. They also keep the weird deliveries coming, notably like pizza deliveries, all sorts of times in the middle of the night, like at 4:30 a.m.
I'd appreciate that.
I mean, if you're scared that you're going to be murdered, would you appreciate that?
Oh, it could be poisoned. Good point.
Initially, they prepay for the pizzas. But of course, remember, the Steiners are not going to answer that door. They can see it's a delivery person, but at the same time, they don't know if that's someone disguised as an assassin. So obviously, they're not going to answer the door. But also, the pizzas have been prepaid for. So that delivery guy doesn't stick around for more than a couple of minutes, right? Like, no one's answered the door. They're prepaid. I'm just going to leave the pizzas here on the doorstep. And he leaves. Eventually, James realizes that if they order pizza requesting cash at the door, then the delivery guy would just keep banging on the door, which would then make it obviously feel way more scarier. Also, James starts posting ads saying that the Steiners were hosting swinger parties and that if anyone is interested, they should come knock on the door anytime, day or night.
Really?
Wouldn't it be funny if they answered the door and they're like, well, you're here now. You might as well just come in.
Yeah, I'll put the kettle on.
Take your bra off if you like. So this goes on for a few weeks. All the employees of the global security and resilience team have been roped in on this. They all have families, by the way. So James sets up a sort of relay where other team members will routinely fly out to take over from them. Again, they are flying out to Boston first class and staying at the Ritz-Carlton. And so all of this is costing eBay tens of thousands of dollars each time that they fly out or fly back. The harassment takes a turn when one day David is out running errands when he notices a rental car is following him. David, at this point, is freaking out. And so he does the only thing he can think to do, and that is to drive directly to the police station. He does his best to get a few photos of the rental car, through the rear view mirror. And when he gets to the station, they end up driving off. So it's a massive relief to David. But at this point, David is full on having a panic attack. And the police basically end up discovering him slumped over a retaining wall outside of the station.
So he didn't even make it in?
No, he's just so freaked out, he just couldn't bring himself to walk into the police station. Luckily, when David checks the photos he has taken, he can clearly see a license plate number of the car that was following him.
So he's got some evidence now that actually the police can act on?
Yes, exactly. So this is the thing that the police needed. So the police start an investigation. They managed to trace the rental back to Veronica Z through her company credit card. So now they know that she works for eBay.
Oh.
They then discover that the batch of pizzas that were prepaid for, they were paid for using a gift card that was purchased back in California, just a few miles from eBay's headquarters. Mm-hmm. They decide to contact eBay's HR to speak to Veronica. Remember, HR have no idea any of this is going on. So they tell the cops that actually it looks like, according to their intel files, that Veronica is currently in Boston. She looks like she's staying at the Ritz-Carlton. And so the police are like, fine, we'll go then. We'll have a chat with her. Mm-hmm. Before they can, Veronica and James, they make a run for it to the airport. But their flight isn't for hours. And so they check into a hotel room to wait it out. Meanwhile, the police get hold of Veronica's mobile number and they call it. She is freaking the fuck out. She does not want to answer this phone call. She knows what she's doing is wrong. She's one of the few people that has rationale in this story. James decides to answer the phone and pretends to be her husband. And he plays a dumb about where her whereabouts were and her activities.
So he's lying to the police deliberately. And I'm guessing she doesn't have a husband, or?
I think she does. Yeah, she's got a husband and kids. And basically he manages to deflect them long enough for them to just get out of state. Veronica is still beside herself. She's petrified she's going to go to jail. James keeps telling her in the hotel room that she just needs to lighten up. And then to cheer her up, he puts on the film Old School starring Luke Wilson. Specifically, the scene when the guy comes to the door and the man says, "I'm here for the gangbang." And James obviously finds this hilarious because they've sent like a bunch of swingers to the Steiner's house.
Yeah.
Which is just so cringe that this is where he got the idea from. Veronica, she's obviously preoccupied with the fear of going to jail, but James cannot understand why she isn't laughing.
He just sees this as a massive joke, doesn't he? He doesn't realize that he's actually committed a crime.
So what he does, he's like, "You don't get it, do you? You don't get it. Mate, look, let's rewind it. We'll watch it again." And he makes her watch it like a dozen times. And she's like, "I get it. It's just not funny. I've got other things I need to worry about." James is one of those people who watches a film with you just to watch you watch it.
Reaction, yeah, I get it.
He's so cringe. So the local police realize that this is, of course, a pretty serious case of interstate cybercrime, right? They have to alert the FBI because it's completely out of their jurisdiction. The FBI, they decide to reach out to eBay, who, remember, have no idea that any of this is going on. This is a black ops mission facilitated between Devon and the Global Security and Resilience team.
When you keep saying that, it just always reminds me, like, this feels like an army or military mission where you do have a black ops team, which is like top secret. You don't know what the mission is compared to the regular army.
Yeah.
This is eBay.
Yeah, we have to remind ourselves that this is eBay. So HR, immediately they call in eBay's lawyers who instruct an immediate internal investigation.
They would be like, what the hell is going on?
Yes. One of the first people they talk to is, of course, James, who completely shits himself, and he starts thinking of ways that he can cover his ass. Specifically, who he can blame for all of this.
Well, just show them the clip from the movie. I'm sure they'll understand.
Yeah. So James quickly goes through the threat matrix. He's basically looking for any local name to say that they are the people who likely bought the gift cards to pay for the pizzas, because that's kind of the thread that they're leading with, right? He also then instructs the team to start fabricating their dossier on the Steiners, basically to try and make them look crazy, which he thinks will discredit their harassment complaints against them. They also then fake email chains to make it look like that they had only just been alerted to the threatening tweets and messages from this account in Samoa that the Steiners were receiving. And they stage it so it looks like they were actively discussing what action to take to help the Steiners. Remember, that was the second part of their plan. They even go as far as considering finding a real-life Samoan in Samoa that they can say is the real 2 E. coli.
But then all of this cover up, I'm guessing, is documented.
They're going to see through it so quickly. So then basically, to bring it all together, they then get a member of customer support to call the Steiners to say, guys, we are fully committed to helping you through this. Please do not let this deter from your already positive experience of using our platform. We will do anything that we can. But the Steiners at this point are like, this has escalated now, beyond customer support. This is now in the hands of police. So if you want to speak to us, speak to the police. But it doesn't matter. All they needed was just that they had on file that they'd made the call and they were taking action to try and help the Steiners. They could fake the timestamps and stuff.
Sure. But then the thing is, eBay reaching out to them, how is that helpful? Because it's all as a result of some person in Samoa who's basically eBay business has been impacted.
The Steiners had already contacted eBay saying, we keep getting these messages, we think it's all about this, and they've just ignored them because they're not at that part of the plan yet. So they've got that bridge, they can connect them later on, but this shows that they actually were connecting with them and trying to help them earlier than they said they were. Remember, this is all in a very short space of time. It's like 2 or 3 weeks. They also try to cover up Veronica's real reason for being in Boston, right? They try to make it look like she was attending a conference, which I'm amazed they even attempted, because what if they can't find a conference that matches what Veronica actually does in a day-to-day job, right? What if they're like, sorry, Veronica, we couldn't find any conferences on online security protocols, but we did find one on knitting. What we will say is that we're exploring a new sellers category on yarn. And that you were there to just work out what subcategories we needed.
And we're going to build a team, which you're going to lead. And it's going to be our yarn division.
They pull her into a conference call, Adam, to coach her on what to say when the FBI finally interview her.
Who is doing this, though? Who's coaching?
This was Stephanie Pop, Mum. Remember Mum of the division? Yeah, she called her in to coach her through what to say.
But then is this all being done secretly? The HR team, the legal team don't know any about this.
Yeah, this is all the cover-up. It literally takes hundreds and hundreds of man-hours across the entire team. But eventually, the FBI, they subpoena all of their documents. And it is blatant that they've been trying to cover this entire thing up. They uncover a bunch of old deleted messages. They trace all the deliveries back to, obviously, eBay. Veronica, when they interview her, she's been coached, remember? She completely falls apart under scrutiny. She's basically like, this is not worth it. I'm just like a soccer mom.
Yeah, I was paid to do it.
She confesses to everything. It becomes just impossible to deny any of it. Eventually, HR have no choice but to place pretty much every single member of that division, including James, on administrative leave. Because Veronica was just a contractor, she doesn't get that privilege. She is just sacked straight away without any severance pay. And yet she was, from the very beginning, I do not want to do this. This is insane.
Yeah. But then the thing is, she shouldn't have done that, right? If she knows that she shouldn't have done that and she still went along with it. I appreciate you got bills to pay and maybe you think, okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Yep. I'm sure it'll be fine. But still, come on, deep down, you know that's wrong.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have done it.
So meanwhile, the US Department of Justice, they filed charges against eBay and the employees with conspiracy to commit cyberstalking and conspiracy to tamper with witnesses. They said in their filings, it was a determined systematic effort by a senior employee and employees of a major company to destroy the lives of a couple in Natick because they published content the company executives did not like, adding, for a while, they succeeded, psychologically devastating the victims for weeks as they desperately tried to figure out what was going on.
What does eBay do with companies like Trustpilot? There's always negative press and stuff like that. What are they basically hitting up every customer that's ever said anything bad?
It just seems to be just a handful of people. And I think it is, you're completely right. They probably have criticism everywhere, but he's probably so absorbed with this little list that this is the immediate threat that he wants to be taken down. In April 2022, James pleads guilty and he is sentenced to 4.5 years in prison.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah,
so he gets prison time.
David Harville, he's the director of the Global Security and Resilience team. We don't hear too much about him. He just met them in Boston. He pleads guilty. He is sentenced to 2 years in prison. Stephanie Pop, remember the mum of the department, also the one who coached Veronica to lie. She pleads guilty. She's sentenced to around 1 year in prison. Veronica, she also ends up pleading guilty, and she is sentenced to 2 years probation, including 1 year of home confinement, but it was like during lockdown, so...
The best time for home confinement.
Yeah.
So I guess she gets off the least, one, because I guess junior employee, and two, she confessed.
Yeah. 3 other people also plead guilty and they are also sentenced as well. So those were the middle management and the lower tier employees that all took the brunt of all the consequences. Steve Weimer, however, he doesn't face any criminal charges whatsoever. He's our chief communications officer that was like, I want ashes. Like his texts were the threatening text, right? The one that James interpreted as like, okay, he wants them dead. Let me send a funeral wreath and a grieving book.
So because Stephen didn't actually commit any of the crimes himself, he just has this messaging. Is that why he didn't get blamed?
Possibly, yeah. It's probably it. The same with Devon as well. But to me, he did send a message saying, I want to see ashes. eBay, however, even though he doesn't get criminal charges, they do fire him.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
David Wang, he also doesn't face any criminal charges. eBay's internal investigation said that while his messages were inappropriate, the CEO didn't know about the stalking and harassment activities.
That's rubbish.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
And while he isn't sacked as CEO, he does very quickly resign. And his severance package is $57 million.
No way.
Yeah. Just let that sink in for a second.
Is that part of his contract, right?
Possibly. After this, eBay, they agreed to pay out $3 million in criminal penalties, which you would think would go to the Steiners. It doesn't. It goes to the US Treasury because apparently that money was a criminal penalty to the US Treasury as part of a deferred prosecution agreement. It's there to punish eBay as a company and to deter them from doing something like this again. It's not compensation or punitive damages in any way. This means that if the Steiners want damages, they're going to have to pursue their own separate civil lawsuit against eBay.
So eBay, appreciate largely the company weren't involved. They only pay $3 million? That's nothing to them.
It's wild. When the CEO got a $57 million payout to get rid of him. It's wild.
Crazy.
And so, Adam, this civil lawsuit is exactly what the Steiners did. On the 1st of July, 2021, they filed to sue eBay as a company, as well as Devon Wang and Steve Weiner personally. And the trial was due to start in March 2025, but it's now been scheduled to start on the 2nd of March 2026, which is the day this episode goes out.
I see.
Yes.
But this is 5 years.
Yeah.
After that is a long time in the making. And then this happened, what, in 2018, did you say?
2019.
2019. So this is almost going on for 10 years.
I know.
That they've had this ordeal hanging over them.
Yes. Awful for them. And remember, like David is out there living without he didn't face any charges. So he's gotten out of this consequence free. He has got such a fragile ego. He could easily just be like, I'm now going to get there. He could show up with a mask on and murder them. You would be living in fear every day that he was just going to be there.
Given that he's behind this and then nothing's been done, he's not faced any criminal prosecution. That is wild. So the only thing he's going to get now is he's going to get sued. That's it.
Yeah.
That's still not enough, is it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not enough. We'll have to see. It's going to be a very interesting trial. Apparently, they're suing him for $700 million, like between the three of them, eBay, David Wang, and Steve. So they probably won't get that. But as they say, if you set the bar high, you'll probably land somewhere in the middle. Hopefully somewhere in the middle where it actually hurts. But get this for justice, right? Since being fired, Steve Weimer is now the president and CEO of a children's charity called Boys and Girls Club of America. So that feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah. How the hell did he land that? Did they not look at his past? Why did you leave your previous company?
Yeah. And you would think, I can understand big corporate America would be like, we don't care about your history. what's your performance like? This is a children's charity.
Yeah. Maybe he couldn't get another job.
No, but a children's charity should be even more, looking at his past, even with more scrutiny.
True.
We don't want you around the kids.
Just, as long as you make us money, or money for the charity.
David Weng, he is now on the board of General Motors in a super high position.
Really?
And again, carrying on as if nothing has happened. And I must confess, there were moments when writing this episode where I was a little bit scared about posting this episode because Adam, he's a man with a fragile ego. If he could easily come after the Steiners, he could easily come after us if he doesn't like what we say about him.
Oh, God, what kind of stuff are we going to get in the mail?
If we receive a box of spiders and we are forced to raise them, I don't think I can love them because they're not mine. I don't want to be a stepfather. Too much of spiders.
That's probably just too much anyway.
The Steiners, apparently, they still run the EcommerceBytes website. They have no plans to stop. But as we said, they're living in fear with Devon still out there, not having faced any consequences. So
I guess once there's a resolution after this case in March, then is there going to be a movie?
There should totally be a movie.
I feel like Ryan Gosling will be in it.
Uh-huh.
That's all I know.
Okay. And Adam, that is the story of the 2019 eBay stalking scandal.
I can't believe that this actually happened.
It's crazy.
It feels so far-fetched. It feels like fan fiction.
It does.
And yeah, poor Ina and David.
I want to keep calling them, I know it's Ina and David, but I keep going, poor Ina and Steiner.
Poor Ina Steiner.
Poor Ina Steiner, yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. And again, I had no idea the story even happened, basically, until I was doing some research and I saw this trial was coming up on the 2nd of March. And I was like, stalking scandal? eBay?
Yeah, I feel like it has been kept under wraps, or at least I've been living in a vacuum.
Probably been kept under wraps, right? A big company like eBay, who employs a communications chief officer, probably a new one, is probably invested in making sure this doesn't get out there because it's embarrassing.
I'm going to have to do my own research. I need to find out more about this now.
Oh, do you think I've just lied the whole way through?
This cannot be true.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, Adam, before we wrap up, do you fancy doing some member shout-outs?
Let's do it.
As you guys all know, HR have been hard at work assigning the ideal job roles to our certified freaks and big top tier members.
The only problem is, while we know what your job title is, we don't actually know what your job description entails.
So when you hear your name, take note of your job title. Then using the link in the show notes, you can go ahead and submit your official job description through to HR.
HR wants to know what your duties involve, who you report to, and any major incidents that have happened under your watch.
They also want to know how you guys feel that you are tracking against your KPIs, and we'll read some of the best job descriptions on a future episode.
Okay, so this week, a very big welcome to Sarah Sawyer, our regional disappearing act attendance tracker. Do we lose a lot of acts?
I don't know.
Is that why we need Sarah?
I think so. We have Lois Larson, our artificial sawdust dispersion strategist.
Marcus Witzel, our 10th support poll trustworthiness examiner.
We have Molly Dowderswell, our noise complaint liaison for over-enthusiastic seals.
Heather Williams, our popcorn dust particle dispersion apprentice.
And we have Kerry Johnson, our deputy registrar for unscheduled drumroll interruptions.
Welcome, guys. It's good to have you all on board.
Absolutely. And this week's job description is actually from Oliver Hepworth. Oliver was originally assigned the role of high-stakes hoop jumping risk framework architect, but he clearly was like, fuck that, and has decided he's actually going to be our human cannibal greaser. And so on reflection, HR has decided there is a need for the human cannibal greaser. So Oliver says he reports directly to the human cannibal, obviously.
Yeah.
His role is to apply industrial-grade lubricant with theatrical finesse to the performer, thus minimizing friction while maximizing drama, dignity, and survivability.
That's an act in itself.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see that.
I would too. Only 2 major incidents so far, which is genuinely impressive considering this is his first week in the new role. The first incident was a spot of chafing on the inside left thigh of a performer due to poor lubricant application.
You know, that's not the kind of lack of attention to detail we're looking for, Oliver.
Oh, do you think we need to write him up?
Yeah, You might go on report.
One strike. But also, Oliver had to perform an emergency degreasing after an over-enthusiastic application of grease by the apprentice. So I think it's safe to say that he's probably redeemed himself in that area.
Over-enthusiastic application. Is that just a lot of grease, dunking?
Sounds like an ejaculate. And as for Oliver's key performance indicators, he is most proud of the fact that the performer is still alive, though he does stress only just.
Yeah, well done for keeping the performer alive. And as a reminder, if you're a certified freak or a Big Top member and you didn't hear your job title this time, don't panic. Your role exists somewhere in Sue's filing cabinet, and we'll read more of them on a future episode. But if you want yours now, message us on Patreon or Instagram and we'll dig it out so you can get cracking on your job descriptions.
Right then, Adam, should we run this week's outro then?
Let's do it.
And that brings us to the end of another fascinating foray into the compendium, an assembly of fascinating things. We hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did.
And if today's episode has sparked your curiosity, then please do us a favor and follow us on your favorite podcast app. It truly makes a world of difference and helps more people discover the show.
And for our dedicated freaks out there, don't forget that next week's episode is already waiting for you on our Patreon. And as always, it is completely free to access.
And if you want even more, then join our Certified Freaks tier to unlock the entire archive, delve into exclusive content, and get a sneak peek at what's coming next. We'd love for you to be part of our growing community.
We drop new episodes every Tuesday, and until then, remember, just handling it internally is often where the worst decisions get their wings. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.